This is the second time I've actually talked to you, not one-on-one, but last year I was here for Sharknado 2, talking to you about that. And I know you talk about when doing these films, it's a really quick turnaround. So can you kind of explain that process a little bit more? Because I know when we do the round tables, we can't really get into it. And I think a lot of people think when these films like Sharknado come out, oh man, it's easy to do. But you guys do a really quick turnaround, and it's a lot of work going into that. Like, was it 15 to 18 days you're shooting?
It's usually 15 to 18 days principal photography with principal cast, and then we get little pickup days for like inserts and some other little bonus stuff if we needed it. But so like as an example, after Sharknado 2 came out and blew up last summer, we had ideas of stuff that we wanted to do story-wise, but it was kind of loose. It was like, oh, yeah, hey, let's do White House Down with Sharks. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. There was a lot of ideas, and then Sci-Fi had ideas, Asylum had ideas. And there's a treatment that was kind of made, and then around October, Thunder was officially on board as a writer. And so then I was working with Thunder on the treatment, and we're trying to figure out what else we wanted to do with the movie and what the characters would be. And again, Sci-Fi was still saying we kind of want this. Asylum was saying, okay, we need this. So it was this constant back and forth, a collaboration of going, where is this movie developing? So that process off and on took to a point where at the beginning of December, Thunder was given the green light to start working on the script. So the second week of December, he started working and delivered a first draft, right, like Christmas Eve. Okay, we started pre-production supposedly right after the holidays. So he did like 2 or 3 drafts really, really quick. We started pre-production the second week of January. And the script still was kind of forming, we were still trying to pare it down because, Thunder writes the big $200 million movie, and then we got to figure out, well, we can't necessarily do that on this thing. Oh, and the other thing I ended up doing is I went to Universal Orlando because we knew they wanted to be involved, so I scouted in November, and I came up with all these ideas for the park because we're like, this is what we can do. It's always good to go to the places, and then you get inspired. So I came up with that idea of the loop-de-loop with the shark. And
So that's interesting. So I was going to ask you later on about this, but so Universal came to you about trying to get into this?
Yeah, because Universal's part of the Sci-Fi family. So when they said they want us to use the park, I was like, fine. And they flew me out there, and I stayed there for a couple days, and I went and saw everything they had access to. Because the thing is like when you're in a studio movie, you go, Iron Man is going to destroy the Golden Gate Bridge and this and this and this, right? Well, they're going to make that happen, no matter what it is, whether they're going to recreate it on a stage or do whatever. They dream it up. It's going to happen in some form. What's better for us is to know what is available to us sometimes, and that allows, we'll come up with a crazy script, but when you know you have access to something, knowing what the parameters are, it allows the creativity to flow easier because oh, that roller coaster's there and we can use it. Oh, we can use this ride. No, we can't use that ride. You can use this part of the park. Oh, this park can double as Washington. You get to see all this stuff, and then you can kind of start designing it, and you can actually cut storyboard and come up with things that are doable, that look great, as opposed to let's just come up with all this crazy stuff that is not connected to reality. So then the script is written, and we're prepping, and so we ended up going to Universal Orlando at the beginning of February, and we shot, I believe, like 7 or 8 days there. So that was the first leg of it. So 7 or 8 days in Orlando. We came back to do some LA stuff, so we ended up doing some of the interior of the White House and some other driving and interior. That was another 5, 6, 7, 8 days. So that was our principal photography. Orlando, and that was with principal cast. That's what I mean cast. That means full crew, everything. So that was a total of 15 days, and then we had 2 days in Washington, D.C. with Ian Ziering doing all the Washington stuff because we just needed him. So that was a smaller crew, but so we did 3 days there doing that. So that was our kind of 18 full regular schedule days. That's the movie. And then we go, okay, well, we need a few pickups, we need some insert shots, we need to do a couple extra little bits to kind of stitch some things together that we didn't get. We went to another state that I can't say for a cameo.
Right.
We went to New York for the Today Show cameos. So we ended up shooting a whole. We were there for a week and shooting stuff. We were prepping, and I think we shot Today Show one day. So we had more time prepping than we had shooting. And then the last little bit, I felt the ending wasn't big enough, and there's a location in Florida that we really wanted, and it would have opened up the movie, and we couldn't do it when we first were there, and by getting a full crew, it would have been like 2 months to get approval. So I called my contact there and I said, look, I really need to do this. We need it for the movie. And they go, all right, we'll get you on as a media crew. If you can come here and shoot with a crew of 7 people, we'll let you shoot here. And so within 4 days, we were there, shooting there with one of our actors. Because we only could have 7 people, we needed someone to be the head of this place, so I ended up being in the movie. And I hate acting. I don't mind doing cameos, and I don't have any problem being myself. So we went there, we did this, it looks amazing. So that in a nutshell is our shooting schedule. So if you put it in comparison to so we wrapped, mid-March or whatever, late March, give or take the time in between. So we had 3 weeks of shooting, and then we had little breaks, and we took those pickups. And in the meantime, we're editing the movie. So now you're looking at March, where it's all this editing. We're picking visual effects shots before the film is cut together because they need to get started.
So you guys have to get a little more creative with this because you have such a small time. So is there, what's the most creative thing you've ever had to do to kind of, get the shots you want to get and make the movie you want to make on the time schedule and the budget you have?
It's every day on these shows. The thing when you have a $100 million movie is that you have, or $200 million movie, you have 100 days, you have 150 days, whatever, to do what you want. Something goes wrong on day 5, okay, we'll take care of it day 60. Something goes wrong on day 1 for us, we don't have day 60. So when you go to set and something isn't there, or something is missing, or an actor isn't there, or we couldn't get this cameo, or this role hasn't been cast, or whatever, you have to, on the spot, you can't sit there and go, give me a couple hours, I'll figure it out. You go, okay, give me 5 minutes, and I look at this, assess the situation, and go, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. First day of shooting with Universal Orlando, I don't know if we've discussed this ever, but you know what it is to be at a theme park. You know how, just going from one place to another is a chore, just if you're there as a vacation. We had access to the park. We had the full support of Universal. They moved us to places. They were like ninjas. It was great. But the first day of shooting, we had a 12-hour day. We had about 12 pages we had to shoot. Regular film, you shoot 2 pages a day. We moved to 7 different locations in the park in a 12-hour period to shoot 7 different scenes.
And the park is filled.
The park is filled. So you put that in perspective. We shot 7 scenes. That's how nutty these things are, And the other thing is like you do things because it has to get done. There's a scene at one of the hotels in or Universal Orlando, the Cabana Bay resort. And they had a pool and the slide, and so one of the ideas I had is I wanted to have the shark come down the slide and then eat somebody. Well, we only had 3 hours to shoot there, and we couldn't shoot in the water initially because there was like this wind chill factor that was dangerous. Right. So the first part of the day we were dead in the water to be able to get anything in there. So we had to cram that in our last hour. One of the things, we had a practical shark, and I wanted to get a GoPro on the shark as it's going down the slide. Well, we had a break for lunch, and everybody had to move back to the park to shoot something else there. So it's like I go, okay, give me the GoPro. I'm forsaking my lunch. It's like, oh no, you're not. It's, yeah, I'm just go. Just everybody go. And so I basically went to the top of the slide with all my clothes on. I took the GoPro, turned it on. I wrapped myself around our fake shark and held the GoPro, and I slid down the shark with the shark down the slide. And I got a shot. I got the shot that we wanted.
Hey, you're sacrificing your body for your
Exactly. But that's what you do. There was no other option. There was nobody else there because everybody had to go to lunch. You had to do it. So it's like, if I don't do it, I don't get it. And it's not that I want to necessarily do it, but you just do it. Right. And that's part of this thing. And that's with everybody on the show. All the actors, all the crew. You have to just put all yourself into it if you give a crap about it. Otherwise, it falls apart. And going back to the rest of the production part of it, so if we're starting to edit and we're starting to pick visual effects shots out. So we're editing and getting stuff done at the same time. while we're still shooting little pieces or doing little things to link it, they had 2 months to do over 300 visual effects shots. And actually it's more than that. It's closer to 600 because David Latt, one of our producers, does some linking visual effects. So from February to the last 2 weeks of June, last week of June, that's when we delivered the movie. That's full edit, full visual effects, full sound. So these movies are barely finished in time because we have little time to do it, and you're working nonstop. You know, I'm writing songs for the movie. You know, I have my storyboard guy. We did these opening title sequences. You're doing a theatrical film in 4 months.
So we were talking about. You have the soundtrack, and then you also have the Archie cartoon. Can you talk a little bit about comic?
Yeah.
About those?
Yeah, the Archie versus Sharknado comic kind of started forming here last year. We met Dan Parent, one of the writers and artists for Archie, and one of the producers went and got a drawing from him, and it was really awesome. And I go, I want to meet Dan. We got to make this happen. This needs to be a real thing. So we started talking to Dan. It's like, tell your people at Archie we want to do this. And there's really no money in comics. I mean, publishing is dead, but just the idea of marrying Archie versus Sharknado, and I love the universe, and so I pushed for 6 months, and finally we were in the middle of shooting, and Dan and I had come up with, like, you know, I read a bunch of the comics and tried to get my head around what we could do, and they said, well, you know, what do we have in Riverdale, blah, 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 and so we were starting to shoot, we're in the middle of shooting, and they go, yeah, the Archie comic's happening, now you need to write it, and the good thing is that what I wanted to do is make it a mini movie that was like a companion piece to Sharknado 3. So it doesn't have any of our characters, but exists in the universe of 3. So while Washington stuff is happening with Finn, Betty and Veronica are on the other side of Washington dealing with their adventure. And then Riverdale is actually on the East Coast, where the Sharknadoes are taken over. And so the Archie gang have to stop their Sharknado while the bigger Sharknado is being stopped in our movie.
That's awesome.
And you know, you think there's no ideas that are left, and it's like suddenly, you know, oh, this would be cool. Oh, this would be cool. And also I was unencumbered by budget or schedule, or we can't do these visual effects. So it was like storyboarding another movie. And it actually was the most liberating thing because it was just me at a typewriter, Oh, look how old I am! I'm on a typewriter doing this thing. Oh, back in my day, I wish there was some newfangled thing called anyway. So on my computer, you know, I'm just typing away and, you know, just coming up with crazy stuff, and it's just like, you know, there's no pressure. And the Archie people were so great. They were so accommodating and just letting me play around with both of their universes, because I was worried. Sharknado I understood, but Archie I was worried that I wasn't going to live up to who their characters were. And they said after it was over to go, you know, it felt like you'd been writing Archie forever. I'm like, that's the best compliment I've ever heard. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that was really nice.
Is that out now? Or?
It comes out July 22nd, the same day the movie comes out.
Awesome. And then you wrote the songs for some of the songs?
Some of the songs, yeah, all the movies. Robbie, Rist, and I, we have a band called Quint, and we usually do a few songs for each movie. We wrote the theme song, and I sing on it, the Ballad of Sharknado, that's in all 3 movies. And Lakeshore Records is doing a soundtrack album for 3, and so we have all these great artists on there, including Camper Van Beethoven, and so to be on a soundtrack album with Camper Van Beethoven, Ballad of Sharknado is going to be on the soundtrack, and we wrote a new song called Crash. Awesome. And there's so many great songs. There's a great cover of Wave of Mutilation, one of my all-time favorite Pixies song on there. The soundtrack is the best. And one of my buddies, Martin Luther Lennon, who used to have songs in all my movies when I was doing shorts, and I always try to put him in these films. He has a song, one of my all-time favorite songs from him, called Armageddon Surfer Girl Rock On. It's a great soundtrack because it's kind of surfy, but it has rock. But this fact that I have a couple songs on a soundtrack album with Camper Van Beethoven, who's one of my favorite bands. I love that.
All right. Well, my last question's got to be it's not really a cameo because I said it last night at the press room. He has a big role in this. David Hasselhoff, he's playing Finn's father.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Did he approach you? Did you approach him? Like, how did that come about?
The Hoff had to be in a Sharknado movie, and we wanted him in 2. I don't think scheduling worked out, and I think he did a little promo for us that was kind of Sci-Fi put that together. We didn't know who was going to be in the movie because we didn't know what his schedule was. So we thought, oh, okay, well, if he's available on this day, maybe he could be the president, and that would be kind of cool. And then it's like, but what we really want is we want him to play Finn's dad, but we didn't know if we can make all the dates. Like, that guy's the busy. He's James Brown. He's the hardest working man in show business. I don't know how he does it. And so the days worked out. And it's like, okay, he's Finn's dad. And when I talked to him initially, I said, look, I know you kind of play up, the Hoff thing, and you're kind of always playing a variation of yourself in like the last couple of things he did in this movie, and he has this TV show. But I want you to play this as a character. I want you to be Clint Eastwood for me. I want you to be this crotchety old angry man against Finn, because Finn's like this guy who just plays it by ear, and you're by the books, and I don't want to see those little digs and stuff. And he was so good, and we rehearsed this stuff, and he just found these little subtle things. There's a great line. He goes. He's talking to Finn. It's like, he wants his dad to help him. He's like, well, why don't you call your friend the president? And it's just, and he says it like, your dad would, your dad, who just, you always have problems with, would say it. I mean, he got it. And that into itself was just that camaraderie. I wish we had more of them in the movie, just going at it, because it's so great.
Awesome. Well, Sharknado, July 22nd.
Sharknado, oh hell no.
Oh hell no. Sharknado 3, oh hell no, on July 22nd. Looks like you guys had a lot of fun on that. So I'm really hoping that it's as successful as the other ones were.
Thank you.
You guys, I know everybody's like, can you keep making it? Like, we walking around San Diego Comic-Con, you see people in Sharknado cosplay.
It's a yearly event. Look at this. Like TV Guide here. Their Comic-Con issue is Sharknado. They could have picked any movie or TV show, and they picked us, which shows you how insanely big and huge this has become. And Bo Derek actually shot the cover for this. So it's becoming a yearly event on Sci-Fi. I mean, it's like you can go to a movie theater and see all these summer blockbusters and drop $100 for your family and food and whatever, and yet you can go once every summer, one day on Sci-Fi, get together with friends, family, have parties, joke, laugh, and enjoy yourself, because we take ourselves seriously and we don't take ourselves seriously, because we're having fun because we want the audience to have fun. We're making a popcorn movie. And even though we have little budget, we still kind of deliver in a strange way. We're a little movie that doesn't know it can't do that.
So. Awesome. I know everybody loves it. I love it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.